What is going on, everyone? Who's excited about the 2020 election? I bet most Americans are. The last couple of years have been really interesting here in the United States when it comes to elections. To say that things have gotten heated is a serious understatement. More and more people are labeling each other by the way they vote. But in honest reality, it's been going on for years. It's just a little more extreme these days. It's not just people that are being labeled by voting records and political views. Locations like cities, states, and towns all carry a political affiliation label nowadays. To some people, it matters so much that moving to a city with, let's say, opposing views at the polls, it may be a deal breaker. I have a relative who's currently thinking about moving to Portland, Oregon, and her friends, who are very Republican, want her to have her medication reviewed by another doctor. Like they're afraid that the doctor she currently has is giving her those Antifa sympathizer pills. So what makes people act like this, you ask? It's simple. Human beings like to be around others that share their views and their values. It feels more comfortable to them. Now, before we get going on this video, let me save you some time. Stop typing. I am biased, just like you. You're biased, just like every other human being on the planet is biased to whatever they're doing or whatever they see. Nobody is totally neutral. So if this comes off a little snarky, I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. That's what I do. This video is about conservative cities. In a week or so, I will do another one about liberal cities, and I will be making jokes about each. And I'm sure, just like the last time I did videos like this, some people will feel I was a little more harsh on one than the other. You know, that's life. Sorry. If you came to this channel just for the facts, you've come to the wrong channel. I'm sure you can find some by the numbers videos somewhere on YouTube. Who knows? Maybe Sean Hannity has a channel out there. I don't know. That being said, why don't you throw on that MAGA hat and watch my top 10 most conservative cities in the United States. Number 10. Overland Park, Kansas. Overland Park has just under 200,000 residents and is where the Sprint World headquarters is located. Of these residents and Sprint employees who live in the city, about 62% have registered as conservative voters. This is the type of place you live when you daydream about reincarnating Ronald Reagan for one last political rodeo and getting back to family values. And stop typing. There's nothing wrong with family values or Ronald Reagan. Now, you can't knock Overland Park on much. They have all the stats you want to see when you're looking for a place to move, live, and raise a family. Education is great, crime doesn't seem to happen here, and they have jobs. The only bad thing you could really say about Overland Park is it's pretty pricey to live here. But that's to be expected when all your other stats are great. Number 9. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Oklahoma City has just under 700,000 residents and is located within the Bible Belt of the United States. The Bible Belt consists of some of the most religious states in the country. With religion comes conservatism. In Oklahoma City, 64% of the population is considered conservative. This is one of the few really conservative cities that has out-of-control crime. They get a big fat F, actually. The overall crime rate in Oklahoma City is 65% higher than the national average. Oklahoma City is also the only place I have ever heard someone yell, "Hey hippie, get a haircut." I'm guessing they didn't realize it was a female they yelled that at. Who knows, maybe their Confederate flag hood ornament obscured their view. Number 8. Anchorage, Alaska. Alaskans love to fish and hunt. Some even have to do it for food and survival purposes. So no wonder they're going to vote conservative. If they start voting liberal, they could risk the nightmare of getting their guns taken away. Now, we all know this will never happen, at least in our lifetime, but it gives the NRA something to scare you with. My guns aren't going anywhere but to the range with me. If they ever did get everyone's guns, what would they do during moose and squirrel season? Now, this is another conservative rarity. Anchorage has really bad stats and everything, but jobs. Anchorage is the most populous city in Alaska with just under 300,000 residents. They're going to beat it in the next census. I mean, they're only like 4,000 below it. The City of Lights and Flowers is their nickname, and if you've ever been there during the summer, you would see how fitting that is. Now, they have a strange set of stats. Anchorage has 25% of the registered voters being Republican and 13% Democrat, and over 55% of them are unaffiliated. Yet, in a few polls, 65 to 68% of them say they're conservative. It's kind of weird. Number 7. Arlington, Texas. Arlington is located right outside of Fort Worth with just under 400,000 residents, and it's in Texas, so imagine that. They're conservatives. Of these residents, over 67% vote conservative. It's a very red state. It's the type of place where people sometimes refer to their kids as Deduction 1 and Deduction 2. Arlington is right between Dallas and Fort Worth, and its only real knock is crime. It's a little high. They have great schools, great things to do. Cost of living's not crazy. I was there a few years back. I watched a Rangers game. It's really nice stadium, really nice city. They have a Six Flags there, and it's also where the Dallas Cowboys play. This is how a city should should kind of be run. I mean, other than the crime being a tad bit high, it's a very nice city. Number 6. Mesa, Arizona. A mesa is defined as an isolated flat-top hill with steep sides. You won't find that in this city. Instead, you will find truckloads of conservatives. This is unusual because they have a university not too far away. Universities breed liberals. Arizona State University is located the next city over in Tempe, where only about 5% of the students say they're conservative, while Mesa has more than half their residents considering themselves very conservative. They have around 500,000 residents, so if my math is correct, that's about 250,000 people voting Republican. Mesa is the type of place where every foreign affairs conversation contains the phrase, "Why don't we just bomb those bastards?" The only real bad stat in Mesa is education. It's horrible. They have horrible schools. Everything else is middle of the road or good. Number 5. Escondido, California. Escondido is located within the San Pasqual Valley with about 150,000 residents. The majority, if not all, of the city officials are conservative, and during the voting season, you can expect to see hardly any Democrats on the ballot. This is sort of a rarity. California is sort of split politically. Most of the coastal portion of California is hardcore Democrat, with the inland portion being hardcore Republican. Escondido is only about 30 minutes away from the ocean, so it wouldn't be considered part of the California outback, which is what some of the people in California refer to the inland portion of Southern California. Others, like myself, like to call it the world's biggest trailer park. Last election in 2016, Anaheim went from being a hardcore Republican city to being a Democrat city, leaving Escondido, for the most part, all alone. Now, I'm sure there might be a couple small places that are still Republican, but those were the two big ones in Southern California. Number 4. Bakersfield, California. Bakersfield has just under 400,000 residents, with the majority of them voting Republican. Over the years, conservatives have been the majority within the city, and it doesn't seem to be decreasing anytime soon. Okay, ever. It will never decrease. Bakersfield is like Texas and California. It is part of the California outback. Bakersfield is the type of place where people would argue they need all 100 of their guns just in case of a zombie apocalypse or one of them migrant caravans get past the border wall, travel 249 miles to their house, and start harvesting their crops. Almost 60% of the voters in Bakersfield voted Republican in the 2016 election. Number 3. Colorado Springs, Colorado. Colorado Springs is home to nearly 500,000 residents and sits about 6,000 feet above sea level. Living at such high elevations could cause problems such as lower oxygen levels, leading to confusion and headaches. The city is Colorado's most conservative, with 64% of the residents registered as Republican. That's not voting Republican, that's registered, and that's a lot of conservatives. If you have above 50% registered Republicans, you're getting into serious conservative land. Now, why did President Trump win with like 70% with only 64% registered as Republicans, you ask? That's a good question. It just means a good portion of registered voters didn't pick a side. They're unaffiliated, but when it came to voting, they happened to vote Republican. It happens all the time. If you know anything about Colorado Springs, you'd understand why this place is so conservative and so Republican. They have two major military installations right outside of town: Fort Carson, Army base, and the Air Force Academy. All military is notoriously Republican and conservative. It's like, I'm just guessing, I'd say like 75% are Republican. That's just my experience in the military. Number 2, Plano, Texas. Plano is located right outside of Dallas and, surprise, surprise, a conservative city in Texas. Nobody saw that one coming, did they? Conservatives here can enjoy the Heritage Farmstead Museum, where a replica of a 1895 classroom can be viewed. About 68% of the residents registered to vote have registered with the more conservative side of the spectrum. This is another Texas city that is doing things the right way. This is also the type of place you'll find 60-year-olds that have no idea who Bob Dylan is. Plano gets high grades in everything but cost of living. Cities are like hotels. You want to stay in a nice one, it's gonna cost you. And number 1, Provo, Utah. Provo is a small city of about 110,000 residents, located about 45 miles south of Salt Lake City. The city has a large population of young adults because of Brigham Young University, private college owned by the Church of Latter-day Saints, which is located in Provo. In case you're not sure what I just said, the place is filled to the brim with young, educated Mormons. For the last 4 years, Provo has been ranked as one of the reddest cities in the country because of its high percentage of votes for Republican candidates. This is also the type of place that people watching The Simpsons really only enjoy the Ned Flanders parts. Provo gets decent grades on everything but jobs, which they get a D. Sort of the middle of the road and decent on everything else. One thing I will tell you about Provo from my own experience, it's hard to find people that are a-holes in Provo. I've been to Provo a bunch of times and everyone is friendly. As an example, I was in a fast food place years ago waiting in line. Ahead of me, a couple people, was an elderly woman getting her food. She was a little shaky with her tray when she turned around to go find a seat. As she turned around, about 3 or 4 young men, let's say under 30, moved to help her. One actually did. Not a worker, just dudes in line helping this older woman. You really don't see that other places, unless maybe she fell flat on her face on the ground, someone might move to help her. But these guys saw that she was shaky, jumped right into action. They have really good people in Provo. Just my own experience. If you had some bad experiences with people in Provo, it's probably your own fault. That's just my opinion. Alright, so that's my top 10 most conservative cities in the United States. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Don't forget all the links below. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.